Okay, so let's look at today. The discussion piece is what should you know before job searching in New Zealand. This is presented by CORE. CORE stands for change through ownership, accountability, and responsibility. And I always say, don't leave your future in other people's hands, thinking recruiters will find you jobs in New Zealand if you're a migrant. And this is specifically focused on migrants. So just to introduce myself, I'm Peter Lemmer. I come from South Africa. I immigrated to New Zealand 9 years ago, 9.5 years. And I had qualifications in engineering. I'm an engineer by background, and I did a BCom in my studies on part-time as well. And my work experience mainly right throughout my career has been in manufacturing, doing manufacturing turnarounds in businesses. With my technical and commercial background, I was quite good at that. And so I've worked through all levels of business. I've worked right up from the shop floor. I worked even in the coal face, as they say, but actually in coal mines. And I worked my way up with my hands, getting my hands dirty, and then worked my way up through sort of junior management positions, then right up through to senior management positions. And I worked in the fast-moving consumer goods mainly. That's 24 hours, 7 days a week production. And I've got to know all different roles and every different type of role, from quality through to finance, through to IT, through to all different types of roles in companies. So I have a very good understanding of how most jobs work, talking 90% jobs. The only thing I think that catches me these days a bit is AI. But so I have an understanding of nearly every job around, except for marine biologists, I think. But yeah, I've even operated at board level, so I understand what senior executives, board level sort of roles do. Why do I do what I do? I really enjoy working with people. I like helping people. I like getting people into a better situation than they were before. Now, immigration, coming to a new country is not easy, definitely. I had one of the sort of a nightmare experience coming across. And through that, I decided to help people in a better way than just selling them a dream, but giving them reality and telling them what to do and how to do it. And quite a bit of what I do is helping with the stress of immigration. And with the stress of immigration, I give a separate little module and I help you through this whole process of before you leave your country and when you arrive in a country, how to deal with the stress and how to understand the stress. But I like people, and that's my passion. So let's start looking at the New Zealand market. And I think what you start needing to understand about the New Zealand job market is quite different to many other job markets. It's one of the smallest job markets in the world. And because of its remoteness from the rest of the world, it's a small job market compared to most countries. Most migrants I know come from countries that are large, that are sort of first world, massive economies. They have big GDPs, and there are thousands of vacancies. And there's sort of, in those countries, recruiters help you find work, or you've got your network that you've built up. New Zealand isn't built like that. I'm going to go through the statistics, and you'll start understanding why you need to approach the market in a different way. The population here is only 5 million people in the entire country, and the pool of employers is naturally limited with those 5 million people. And that means there are fewer positions overall. And because of this, competition for each role becomes stronger. And with the current economic dip that I think the whole world is going through, not just New Zealand, competition for each role gets quite a bit stronger. If we look at our population and the breakdown of the population stats are now at this point in time 5.3 million. And we have a full-time workforce only of 2.3 million. So less than half of the people are either underaged, school-going, or we've got quite a big aging population. And only 2.3 million work a full work week, a 40-hour work week. A lot of students are working 20-hour work weeks, and that is a big part of the economy, is the student education. That's the one part of the scenario you're walking into. The second scenario is the businesses in New Zealand and the size of the businesses in New Zealand. When I arrived, I thought that New Zealand was a first world country, me coming from South Africa. First world country, these massive corporates, and everything's just humming and pumping. And then I started slowly realizing, and when I saw these statistics many years ago, it sort of started hitting home that 97% of the number of businesses, and just remember we're talking number of businesses, employ less than 20 people. Now, that brings a totally different sort of area of way of approaching your business. And interestingly enough, of that 97%, 64% of those businesses are one-man businesses. So these businesses are one-man, and especially this is a very strong trade-backed sort of economy, where a lot of one-man trade businesses, a carpenter, an electrician, a plumber, they all have their own business and they go out and they don't employ people, they just do their own sort of work. And that makes a big difference. So if we take 97 minus 64, that's about 23%. The 33% are then employers. Now, the interesting fact about that then is that the average size of a business in New Zealand has only four employees. That's the normal average of the employees. Now, there's only just over 600,000 businesses in New Zealand. And if you take 3% of 600,000, that's only about 25,000 businesses which have more than 20 employees. So your number of small businesses is totally different. And in small businesses, an average of 4 people, most of the businesses you're going to approach and start looking for work in is that the employer, or the owner of the business is most probably in the business himself. He doesn't have somebody managing it for him. He manages it himself, and there's few employees. Now, from your experience of working in small businesses, the team dynamic changes as well a lot. When you're hiring somebody, you can't hire a bad apple. One apple affects all the other apples. So you'd have to understand that when they employ somebody, you've got to employ the right employee, not somebody just to do a job, but somebody who can fit into the business and who has a good, strong team fit and a good, strong cultural fit. And with New Zealand, that is a very important part of your hiring process, is this team fit and culture fit, which I find lacks a lot in many, many other countries. What does this mean to you as a job seeker? Firstly, it's a smaller market. Secondly, there's fewer roles available in every job. Trust and fit matter mostly. Team fit, culture fit, as I said, and becoming visible and networked is also important. Also here, referrals from friends, referrals from other people count a lot in the market. They would way rather hire because of a word of mouth referral or somebody else referring it to that person than to just look at CVs in front of them. And you'll be noticing that while you're carrying on applying and you just get rejected the whole time, NZ hiring is relationship driven. The first thing is that applying online alone isn't enough anymore. 97% of the country is made up of small businesses, and they hire somebody that they actually, well, I've just said that before, that they already know, someone in their network or someone who's visible in their industry. Now, this is where the LinkedIn networking becomes critical to your success in New Zealand, is you've got to start becoming visible. And how do you do that when you're sitting, halfway around the world trying to build relationships? And that's where LinkedIn is a tool that you can use effectively to get noticed and to get seen. And that's sort of through the comfort of your armchair at home. And gone are the days that you have to be physically in a country. You can now just sit on the back of your armchair, have a drink with dinner, and just sit and network. So let me give you some 3 quick wins to looking at New Zealand as a market to come to and to work into. I want to leave you 3 simple changes you can start today. The first is to simplify your CV so it aligns with the New Zealand expectations. Keep it clear, keep it clean, keep the huge high jargon out of it, and don't put a photo onto the CV like a lot of other countries like having your photo there. Here, they look incredibly politically correct way of finding work and sending CVs. In that they don't want to see how old you are. They don't want to see, the color of your skin. They don't want to see the color of your hair, because they feel that they would be biased. If they don't like your face, then they sort of feel that they're going to be biased in choosing you. So here, do not put a photo on New Zealand and Australia. The second thing is to start showing a bit more visibility on LinkedIn. You mustn't post daily, but engage with people and companies in your industry. So start connecting with people in the companies you'd like to work for. Go and do some research, go do some background checks, and start connecting with people in those companies. And start building relationships with them. Start chatting to them. LinkedIn, you can chat via messaging. The third is to research the New Zealand version of your job title. That's very important. They call certain jobs differently here. We've got, I know the world's changing, but we're changing here quite quickly with it. In that an HR person, an HR manager, or human resources manager here is not necessarily called that. They'll be more into people and culture, or training and facilitation manager. The other thing is a financial manager is actually a very high level person. A person with a chartered accountant's degree or qualifications will still just be called an accountant in New Zealand. Now, an accountant, I know in where I come from, South Africa, is sort of a few levels down. And your financial manager is your boss, but a financial manager here sort of doesn't even really exist. Very few jobs are called financial manager. You'd more go for accountant roles. Senior accountant is sort of, high level person. The small change can help recruiters find your profile also easier, and for you to also determine what the correct terminology in your country that you want to move to goes. Another thing I want to get you to understand about New Zealand also is the culture of New Zealand. And that's one huge difference. I didn't expect that much. You think, okay, they speak English. They are a first world country. They're good at rugby. They're good at cricket. They thrashed South Africa the other day, which we don't talk about. But it's firstly incredibly sporty country. If it rains or shines or snows, boy, they do their sport. Nothing stops. My daughter played in pouring rain in a netball match that we were soaked. Everybody comes with their jackets and their Wellingtons, their boots on. If it rains, whatever happens, the game does not stop. There's not much lightning around here. So, back in South Africa, if there was rain, there was normally lightning and we'd stop all sport. Here, you just carry on. It's an incredibly beautiful country. As you see, these are just two photos of my own photos, just of the country around. And this is just the North Island, and the South Island is 20 times more beautiful with all the mountains and things. Every beach is a stunning view, which you drive past. There's around about 600-700 islands around New Zealand, which every little bay that you drive to is just mind-blowing. That's Rangitoto Island, just off Auckland, one of the youngest volcanoes, or land masses in the country. It was formed 700 years ago. And of course, nearly everybody fishes in some point in time in their life, and they love water sports. Every second person has got a fishing boat, and it's not called the City of Sails for nothing, because the amount of boats, sailing boats and fishing boats per capita is the largest in the world. It's an adventure wonderland. New Zealand is known for their sporting, rugby, cricket, sailing, everything under the sun. We've got bungee jumping here. Bungee jumping was actually started in New Zealand. And any adventure sport, rock climbing, mountain biking, tramping, they call hiking, tramping. And if you want to come for adventures, this is the country to come. Jet boating up the rivers in the South Island. There's so much to do, and such a sort of adventurous culture here. People are incredibly friendly. People will help you if you stop in the street. They'll definitely help you. And there's a huge coffee culture. I never drank coffee before I came here. Now I can't live without it. So be ready to spend money on coffees when you're here, and talk to people about, I'll shout you a cyber coffee means I'll buy you a cyber coffee. It's a very good term to use on LinkedIn to network. This is sort of the positive side. But another side of it in New Zealand is when you start networking with people in New Zealand, you understand their culture, but you need to understand the differences. And what I'd like to teach you a bit about is the side that you're going to be really careful of. The culture of New Zealand in business terms is they don't like confrontation. Now, especially European countries, South Africa, I know, South American countries, conflict is a sort of voicing your opinion and telling people what you think is sort of the norm and part of the business day. But here they do not like confrontation. They're very politically correct in their way of dealing with people. A very calm nature of working. They don't like giving bad news, so they don't like saying no to you. That's why when you're trying to set up an interview, they will sometimes say, well, let's just meet for coffee. Because that's if you're physically on shore, because they don't want to feel obliged to, after the meeting, be able to have to say no, because they don't like saying no. So they'd rather say, well, let's have a coffee meeting, so that they don't have any obligation after the meeting to say, yes, you've got the job, no, you've got the job. They don't like giving that bad news. So coffee meetings is a different word for interviews. I've had a lot of clients go and say, oh, no, we're just going to have a chat. I say, and I warn them, I say, that's an interview. They go, oh, no, we just chatted nicely about what I do in my, spare time, what my family's about, what my job and those kind of things. And the next day he gets a job offer. Or the other alternative is they just never hear from them again. It was a great coffee. Thanks for the chat. Goodbye, the employer says. Tall poppy syndrome, I've been hearing it a lot more on the news and in politics these days, is a real thing here in New Zealand, in that if you outshine your colleagues here, you'll get trimmed down very quickly. And I've seen a lot of clients just get into trouble because of that right in the beginning. I always say, take the first 4 months to just settle down, watch what's going on, observe, and start understanding the culture before you start flexing. Because I know you're ambitious, you want to move, get somewhere, but take time to settle down and understand the office politics, the way of working in meetings, and start understanding how things work. Networking is also key in New Zealand. Everybody networks. Everybody knows somebody in this country, and in the industries, people are incredibly well known. And they know exactly who works in the opposition. Everybody uses LinkedIn on a daily basis. They use LinkedIn as a business tool. And the more networked you are, the better your results are going to be. If you'd like to learn any more about New Zealand, about how I can assist you with dealing with the New Zealand or Australian job market, I offer you now a free 20-minute consultation that you can take up with me. Just go and go into my website and book a free consult. And we can just chat for 20 minutes about how I can assist you, ask me a few questions, and I'll help you along the way. Okay, thanks for joining me on my workshop. It's this is going to be put onto my YouTube channel. So if you know people who want to watch it, send them to my YouTube channel. A lot of information there. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. There's always every week reels going out. A lot of information there. Thank you, and see you in 2 weeks' time.